Nearly 3 years ago, a journey started. It wasn't a journey I expected to embark on, but regardless, it was for the better. And this journey has had some lows and even lowers, but through it all, we still finished season 1. And so, I'm now ready to start season 2. It's about time I've read Let's Play again. Last I've read it was, 8 months ago. Yeah, it really is about time. I didn't realize it's been that long. Alright, so last time we left it off at episode 75 because I thought it'd be a little awkward for me to go from season 1 to season 2 mid-video. But 75? That's an odd number! Whatever, I'll just do 10 episodes and extend it again for whenever I reach the season 2 finale, if ever. Anyways, if you guys don't know what's happened in the entire series thus far, I have a playlist of me reacting to every episode thus far, including this one. Though, some of these videos are worse than others. But, to be fair, that is an entire season's worth of Webtoon reaction to watch, so I guess I'll just recap all of season 1 really quickly. A girl named Sam makes a game, and her favorite YouTuber reviews it, but plays it wrong and calls it bad, and so his fans make her public enemy number 1. And even though that's what the plot starts with, that's sidelined in favor of a lot of freaky romance with 3 guys in particular. There's a guy named Link who is teased as her love interest, and then it's completely scrapped. The second guy is Markiplier, the favorite YouTuber in question that reviewed her game that also just so happens to be new neighbors with her. And Charles, her boss who totally doesn't have any deep dark secrets. It takes until like episode 40 or so for the real plot to return, and when it does, it's in bits and pieces, here and there in between all the freaky romance. Markiplier is also dealing with an op for a good chunk of season 1, his depression. And it's winning! However, once he finally does something that gets the plot moving forward, he starts winning this battle! Before it absolutely crushes him as he realizes Sam made the game for him, and he crumbles in front of Sam, and Charles, I forgot why he was there. Anyways, now that you guys are hopefully caught up, let's get right into season 2. Seeing Markiplier suddenly crumble to the ground, Sam dials 911 while Charles gives him CPR. He wakes up as suddenly as he fell, as he states his chest hurts, with Charles saying he may have broken some ribs doing CPR. No way this guy actually thinks he hurt him. This guy looks like a sneeze could kill him, frail as a butterfly, and he somehow thinks he's breaking this guy's ribs. The paramedics get there ludicrously fast. Jeez, like look, one panel she's still on the phone with them, and the next they're already there. What, is the hospital right next to Sam's apartment? They probably didn't even need the ambulance. And of course, out of all the paramedics on duty, it just so happens to be Link that's responding. I guess it was a peaceful day, with everyone being safe and healthy. Even the old folk that have life alerts just somehow powered through it. Oh, but someone just had to have a mental breakdown. As they walk Mark over to the hospital, Sam begs Charles to take her to said hospital. Why does she need him to do that? The hospital's like, right there. Is she lazy? It pains him to say it, but Charles says he needs to get back to work as he's already spent a lot of time on Sam. She pleads with him as she wants to see how Mark is doing, telling him to consider it a favor and that she'll owe him. Hold on. Why is he blushing? Sam, I know you'll owe him, but if he wants you to pay him back by visiting his house, don't even think about it, unless you want to feed him for the next month. As you might have guessed, he's blushing because of some gooner thoughts racing through his mind. He gives in and decides to take her to the hospital, and as she goes into her apartment to change, he calls up Markiplier's sister to let her know what's going on. Yeah, in case some of you didn't know, Mark has a sister, and she was introduced a bit earlier in the series, but I skipped that episode because guess who was the central focus? At the hospital, she asks if they have some guy named Martial Law, and of course, they don't have anyone by that name. But Charles has a rare W by asking the correct name, and now they're in. Why would she ask for someone named Martial Law when I've clearly been calling him Markiplier this whole time? Is she stupid? Sam has a realization that she set an unrealistic picture of Markiplier, and even if he's a YouTuber, he's only a human, after all. She asks how he knows Mark, and Charles says he knows him through his sister, as he would sometimes attend her fencing competitions. She asks him if he also fenced, but apparently Markiplier wasn't very good at it because he always held back, which makes Sam think back on something Monica said to her. Hold on, does that imply if Markiplier stopped holding back, he'd be a nightmare for the fencing community? She tells him he can leave if he'd like, but Charles denies that offer, as he promised Mark's sister he'd meet her there. And right as he says that, the sister in question calls for him. Whoa, that's his sister? I don't see it. While Charles catches up Mark's sister, Ava, on the situation, Sam notes how while they look similar, their personalities are completely different. And as she's staring at her, Ava stares back and asks who Sam is. Charles tells her his relation to Sam and her relation to Mark, and for some reason, Ava speaks to her like she's some arch nemesis before she properly thanks her for helping Markiplier. I haven't really read her introduction chapter, so I don't know why she's acting like this, but why does she hate her? Imagine you take your neighbor who just collapsed in front of you to the hospital, and you also go to the hospital wanting to see how said neighbor is doing. Then you see the neighbor's sibling, and you're probably expecting a little thank you, not a whole lot, you know? And the first thing they do when they find out who you are is go fuck yourself! They finally get into a room with the doctor, and he tells them that what he's suffering from is broken heart syndrome. Pussy. Hearing that, it's clear Sam is putting some of the blame onto herself, with Charles and Ava taking notice, Ava giving her particularly more stink eye. They finally go in and see him, with Ava expectedly being the one to go up to him first, and after speaking some Portuguese to him, she leaves the room to make some calls. Charles also leaves the room to leave Sam some alone time with Mark, and she reminisces on how despite watching so many videos, she never really knew him. She cries to herself, thinking of how she was so mean to him despite knowing he wasn't really a bad guy, before Mark revives from the dead to glaze her game. This is true, guys. You don't really know what your favorite YouTuber's going through. I may be a completely different guy from what you guys envisioned. For all you know, I could be AI. Ooh, hold on, wait, that's a joke. Ava calls her mom to let her know of the situation, and Charles walks up and startles the crap out of Charles asks how she's handling the situation, however Ava doesn't want to hear any of it, as she's still mad about what happened in that chapter I skipped. Charles says she wanted him to get angry, as she apparently likes to be punished. That is an unbelievably weird thing to say. Did I miss something in that episode I skipped? Yes, oh I definitely did, and I'm not even sure if I can show the second panel. Charles apologizes for calling her the B word, but all Ava wants to know is who he had a date with. And as angry as she is, she's even more furious when she finds out who it is, some lady she nicknamed Stone-Faced Rosewood. Hold on, if she's calling her stone-faced, that means she's gotta be expressionless, right? Plastic mannequin-like face, no facial emotions, expressionless. Wait, hold on. Considering she's attacking her for being expressionless, that means she has to be the opposite of expressionless. Opposite of expressionless would be... And again, there are more middle fingers towards me for skipping that chapter, as I've got no context to this. Yes, I hate Charles, but does that mean I should skip an entire chapter merely because he's the center focus of it? Yeah, actually, it's reasonable. We go back to Mark and Sam, with Mark still wanting to talk about Ruminate, but Sam is more concerned about his health. She asks him if there's anything he needs, and he mentions his girlfriend, which makes Sam realize she's forgotten to tell his freaking partner of what's going on. Now, I would make a joke here about Sam being murked by Monica, but bro, I've seen this cover, and I have a feeling, bro, and I don't like it. Please. Just let me be wrong. I need to be wrong. Sam Sam lets Monica know of what happened to Markiplier, and instead of concern for her boyfriend in the hospital, it looks like she's going there to finish the job. Charles is curious on who Sam was calling, and when Sam says it was Mark's girlfriend, he wonders what she's like, not knowing Mark had one to begin with. Sam says she's everything she wishes she was, and Charles decides to tease her by saying he hopes he gets the chance to see her. Man, you are outrageously lucky Markiplier's in a coma, because if he heard you talking all that about his girl, you're gonna need to stay at that hospital. Charles then says they're gonna need to improve Sam's confidence, and look, man, if you want to throw your life away, go ahead. The walking green flag walks in and meets the walking red flag, and after the introductions, he asks Charles if he's English, which Charles gets angry over, saying he's Welsh. Alright, if there's one thing I won't give Charles flack for, it's this. Because I know if I had the misfortune of possibly being mistaken for English, I'd crash out too. Sam, the moron she is, decides this is the perfect opportunity to make Charles jealous and springs over to Link when he offers her to take her home. And look what that leads to in the car. Pure awkwardness. Like, look at the faces they made when you acted like that. Are we sure something didn't hit her head? She may be concussed, man. Keep her at that hospital. Charles is getting hit on by one of the nurses there, but they are unaware of the danger currently approaching their way. Maybe Sam wasn't trying to make Charles jealous. Perhaps she was just trying to avoid the danger that is Monica. Alright, she's a little cool, but not that cool. All she'll do is yell at Mark a little. He'll be fine. Monica arrives after scaring off the nurse and forcing Charles to open the door. Ava's ready to leave until she sees Monica, baffled on who she could be, and when she says she's his girlfriend, she just goes full mode and laughs at her. And with that, it snowballs into an all-out face-off, with the two going back and forth with insults. Charles watches from the side, and for all his faults, he's probably thinking of a way to stop the fight. Just can't help yourself, can you? The one time I gave you credit for something, and you blew it. I swear, if I was in this freaking Webtoon... He tries to calm them down, but they unite to hate him simply for interfering. But once Charles plays into Ava's desires, the face-off is over. And even leaving, she just has to continue being an op, saying Mark should have better taste. Man, why didn't they go with this ship? Ava's a masochistic Charles is probably, most likely, definitely a serial killer. They're a match, just not one made in heaven. And thankfully, my suspicions were wrong. For now. We cut to Sam and Link having dinner, and Sam is just playing games with me here because I thought she was trying to make Charles jealous, but now she's trying to flirt with Link? Oh no, my bad. Not flirt with Link, she's actively making a move on him and holds his hand. Boy, oh boy, this surely means that a relationship will blossom. Sam is blushing her head off after making a move, telling Link that him doing the paramedic work was really attractive. Link then ruins the mood by pointing out Sam's wet hand before he eventually takes her home. To be fair, wet hands are not pleasant to touch, and plus, you do not know where that hand's been. For all he knows, the water coming from her hand is evil. After getting Sam to calm down a little, she starts to confess her feelings for Link and how he's so perfect. Man, almost like I was right, huh? So in that case, why is he also an option? She asks him to stay the night, which would obviously mean one thing, and here it is. It's finally time. She likes him, he likes her. Let's get this relationship started! Not I've fallen for someone else, or I see you like a sibling. That was your answer. It pains me. It really pains me to do this, but Link, just fire the missiles already. Link says what he freaking should have started with, that he sees her more like a sibling figure, or cousin or something. Yeah, man, that's what you should have led with. I get it was for a cheap dramatic cliffhanger, but still, that's what you should have said. Instead, you're about to kiss, moon's a shining, she's head over heels for you, and you go, "You are disgusting!" Sam plays it cool, telling him she understands and that, they should just be friends, but you're not tricking me. And back in her apartment, now she's questioning if she's attractive, thinking if she should make any changes, and it all ends with Sam crying. And there ends the saga of Sam and Link. Personally, I hate it and wish they got together, especially since her other options is in a relationship and that guy. I also think it was sloppily handled since Link saying he doesn't find her attractive feels like a retcon simply to push for the ship the writer wants to happen. He said this, and then also did this. That'd be kinda weird to do for someone you see as your sibling. Well, at least they're not actually related. You do not get that excuse. You know this is different. Oh, and also, Markiplier has some coma-induced nightmare involving the cat from Sam's game. And whatever, I'm skipping this. He's alive! I want to say, yes, we see the fit, Sam, but I don't think she wants us to notice the fit. Charles does, however, notice it, and calls it mediocre, just crumbling Sam further. Sam asks why she has to wear this instead of whatever she wants, with Charles saying she should dress for the job she wants, and she clearly wants to wear something else in that case. Ain't that the truth though? Dressing for the job you want is always valid. Just look at Charles and the way he dresses, always making sure everyone knows his intentions with his fits. Charles then calls Sam attractive, which Sam initially blushes to, but shuts it down by saying she isn't attractive. Yeah, this plot point I just can't get behind. Look, I get Sam's self-confidence was just torn because of Link saying he doesn't find her attractive, but look at her! You would have thought this was written by a guy that doesn't know how to write woman with the hot but doesn't know it trope, but lo and behold, he tries to have Sam fix her posture, which initially isn't really working, and then he has her do the opposite of a humiliation ritual, some sort of appraisal ritual? I don't know, but eventually, Sam says that despite all the trials and tribulations, she's glad that she's still standing. Stop! Bro, that wasn't even a second. Alright. And Sam doesn't really get to rest, as they've apparently got a client to deal with in an hour. Don't worry, Sam, you've got nothing to fear. Charles will be right there with you. You'll be fine. Though I do wonder, who's the client? Yeah, just pack it up, Sam. Monica wakes up Markiplier at the hospital and asks him what happened, with Markiplier telling her the truth of how he played roommate and fell into a depression thinking how he might have hurt Sam. And after realizing this all started because he felt bad for a fan, she breaks down in front of him, asking if he knew how hard it was for her to hear all of this and realizing he ignored all her advice to avoid it. And not only that, but the fact his family doesn't know about her seems to be really messing with her, and she's starting to think he's ashamed of her. I'll be honest, I get both sides of this, because in one hand, I get how Monica could come to that conclusion, and not only that, but to an extent, this is his fault for not listening to her. On the other, Mark just wanted to make things right to Sam, as he felt like he wronged her, and the heartbreak syndrome thing was just an unfortunate side effect. Plus, he felt like he was protecting their relationship by hiding it, as he didn't want Monica to be attacked. It's an interesting dynamic that I actually do like to see, in the fact that they both have their flaws and you can see where both sides are coming from. I'd really hate to see them split up, as them rising from this would be lovely to see. Would be. Sam cannot enter the car to save her life as the skirt prevents her, but of course, Mr. Perfect himself, Charles, is able to help her through that too. She asks him how he knew what to do, and Charles has a little flashback, G-Y-A-T-T, and he replies by saying he's from Great Britain. They invented etiquette. Ain't that the truth? All British are well-mannered individuals. Come on, England! Scotland, right before they meet the client, Charles gives Sam a choice. She can either go with him to meet the client or stay in the elevator and wait for him down in the ground. However, if she chooses the latter, she'll never get this chance again, as she'll prove she isn't worthy of this kind of position. Her choice. Boy, oh boy. This webtoon, man. I feel like every time this webtoon has something good in its hands, it throws that good away in favor of freak slop. Alright, let me actually speak about the episodes and what I liked about it. So one writing decision I did like to an extent was Link telling Sam he didn't find her attractive, as it shows a flaw in the guy. No, he should not have said it like that, nor should he have led with that. However, it shows that even a guy like him could mess up on an emotional level and not say the right thing, at least initially. It would make him, I guess, too perfect if he also had genius emotional intellect and knew exactly what to say to Sam, something that wouldn't hurt her. And I also believe they have something with Mark and Monica's relationship, in that their relationship, if you don't include the YouTuber stuff, kind of feels real. They both have flaws, they both misunderstand each other, they're not a perfect couple, but they don't necessarily have to be, because they still love each other, and they can make it work if they both try. With that said, my complaints start with the fact that I know they're gonna throw away what they have in favor of this love triangle BS. If you wanted Sam and Markiplier to be a thing, did Monica really have to exist? I don't know, I think it adds an unnecessary element in the plot for cheap drama whenever they eventually do decide to split them up for that relationship they have in mind. And then going back to Link rejecting Sam, couldn't they have added more hints that he never really viewed Sam as attractive? Him saying he doesn't find her attractive feels like an ass pull to push the ship of him and Angela, especially when panels like this exist, with him clearly finding Sam attractive. To be fair, they did hint that over here when he could have kissed her on the mouth, but went for the forehead instead, so maybe I'm just waffling and don't know what I'm talking about. I don't know, let me know in the comments. Anyways, this has been a decent batch of episodes, but I'm still questioning the writing decisions of the webtoon, especially with their desire to include more freak scenes in it. And their last episode was released nearly 3 years ago. Maybe they should have listened to me, as the freakiness was clearly their undoing. Huh. Would be a shame if someone fired missiles at— man, screw it, move out of the way! Anyways, I'd say that's gonna wrap up this video. Thank you guys for watching this video in its entirety. If you guys like this video, then please like, share, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. If you guys have any video suggestions or anything else you'd like me to read, then please leave it in the comments section below. And with that, I'll see you guys on the next video. Peace.